2008 Summer Olympics closing ceremony. The 2008 Summer Olympics closing ceremony was held at the Beijing National Stadium, also known as a bird's nest. It was directed by Chinese filmmaker Zhang Yimou and began at 20th Euro China Standard Time UTC+8 on Sunday night, 24 August 2008. The number 8 is associated with prosperity and confidence in Chinese culture. The musical acts included Plácido, Domingo and Zuying singing The Flame of Love lyrics by writers Song Xiaoming and Yuan YY and Sanan singing Beijing Beijing were AI Beijing. Leona Lewis, Jimmy Page with David Beckham making an appearance, Elspeth Hanson as the violinist and Kwesi Edman as the cellist. Andy Lau, Emil Chau, Jackie Chan, Karen Mok, Chen, Yung and Nicolas Tse. Wang Lee Hom, Stefanie Sun and Rain. Klaus Badelt wrote the music for the closing ceremonies. The ceremony also included the handover of the Games from Beijing to London. Huo Jinlong, the mayor of Beijing, handed over the Olympic flag to the mayor of London, Boris Johnson. There was also a performance organised by the London Organising Committee for the Olympic Games Locock. While the opening ceremony was described as an artistic and serious introduction of China's ancient past, the closing ceremony was described by Western media as much more light-hearted, silly and fun than the opening ceremony. By the end of the 16 days of NBC coverage of the Beijing Olympics in the United States, it had also become the most watched U.S. television event of all time, with over 211 million American viewers tuned into the Olympics on NBC according to the Nielsen Media Research. This is 2 million more than the 1996 Atlanta Games, the previous all-time record holder. Opening sequence: People's Liberation Army Navy Band performance, welcome march song and introduction of IOC members and China's leader Hu Jintao. Fireworks prelude, including a firework countdown above the National Stadium itself at 20:00 CST. The flag of the People's Republic of China was raised to the Chinese national anthem, March of the Volunteers. Mass games performance by a troupe of drummers. Orange sparkling fireworks. Performers in translucent costumes, bucking stilts and some riding on illuminated monowheels. Synopsis: Chinese leader Hu Jintao entered the stadium accompanied by Jacques Rogge. They were followed by the entrance of British Prime Minister Gordon Brown and his wife, Sarah. The countdown started from 29, indicating the 29th Summer Olympics. From 29 to 11, highlights of this Olympic Games were shown with countdown numbers on the screen. Accompanied by sound effects, the atmosphere reached its climax countdown to number Digital Millennium Terminator. Guided by volunteers, the entire audience counted down from 10 together for 10 seconds, starting at 19:59:50 China Standard Time at the country and sky above the stadium is the same as the countdown to the 2008 Beijing Paralympic opening ceremony from 10 to 1 with all voice screaming as 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 Oshi, Chu, Ba, Kai, Liu, Wu, Si, San, Wa, Yi is used to release large-scale fireworks above the stadium to the games and herald the start of the officially opening time at 20:00 China Standard Time, with the fireworks burst immediately when the countdown ended, forming a great circle in the sky which symbolized the success of the Beijing Olympic Games. The countdown were also used during the opening ceremony 16 days earlier by 2008 PLA members. The plaque for God's soldiers prepared the national flag of China. The soldiers then carried the flag, in a slow goose-stepping march, to the flag podium, and the Chinese national anthem, March of the Volunteers, was sung by a 224-member choir while the flag was unfurled and raised. All lights were extinguished in the stadium. A video was played on the large screen in the north and south to explain the theme of the closing ceremony. The video reviewed the exciting and memorable moments during the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games. A grand celebration began. 200 performers in drum formation lined up in a circle on the steps of the main stage. They danced and beat drums while looking up at the sky. 2 large heavenly drums flew from the north and south, and the resonant sound of the drum seemed to come from far away. 2. The performers beat the heavenly drums in a unique style in magical light. The 2 heavenly drums met at the center above the stadium, slowly falling down to the main stage, and were suspended about 5 meters above the stage. The heavenly drum and the drum on the ground complemented each other. 3. Summoned by the drumbeat, 11:48 silver bell dancers wearing silver bells gathered around the main stage and sang and danced for the heavenly drums. A grand celebration was about to begin. Next, silver bell performers danced in time to the beat of the heavenly drums on the main stage to greet the guests. 8 drum cots in different shapes entered the stadium, carrying performers who beat drums in unique ways. The sound of the song was mingled with the drumbeat, passionate and dynamic. 2. 8 rotating poles swung and crossed. 3. With 60 light wheels shuttling, 200 bouncing and flying men ran and did somersaults. 4. The silver bell dancers changed into radiating wave lines coming through, and formed 4 festive passages with the 8 drum corps to greet the guests, attending heads of state and dignitaries. The closing ceremony was attended by at least 30 heads of state and dozens of other dignitaries. Notable faces included International Organizations Secretary-General of the United Nations Ban Ki-moon, Secretary-General of ASEAN Seren Pitsu, and IOC President Jack Rog and wife Anne Rog, predecessor Juan Antonio Samaranch, and members of the International Olympic Committee. Host nation President of the People's Republic of China Hu Jintao and wife Li Yongqing, former Chinese President Jiang Zemin and wife Wang Yuan, former Premiers Lai Peng and Zhu Rongji, Premier of the People's Republic of China Wen Jiaba and wife Zhang Peili, Vice Premier of the People's Republic of China Lai Keqiang, Chairman of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress Wu Bangyo, Vice President of the People's Republic of China Xi Jinping, Foreign Minister of the People's Republic of China Yuan Zhichai, Wakok President of the Organizing Committee for the Olympic Games and Chinese Communist Party Committee Secretary of Beijing Li Kai, and Mayor of Beijing Gu Jinlong. Foreign dignitaries Prime Minister of the United Kingdom Gordon Brown and wife Sarah Jane Brown, F News China News Princess Anne, and Mayor of London Boris Johnson. London 2012 Summer Olympics Prime Minister of Finland Messi Van Hanen, King Carl Roman 16 Gustaf and Queen Sylvia, King Albert II, Prime Minister of Malaysia and President of the United Malays National Organization Abdul Ahmed Badawi Mizan Zainal Abidin of Timbuktu, President of the United States George W. Bush, Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, members of the presidential delegation, Secretary of Labor Elaine Kaya, Secretary of Health and Human Services Michael Ower, Leavitt, United States Ambassador to the People's Republic of China Clark T. Rand Jr., Global Vice Chair of Burson Master Karen Hughes, President of the United States Olympic Committee Peter Ubiroth, figure skating champion and American public diplomacy Envy Michelle Kwan, Governor of New York David Paterson, Mayor of New York City Michael Bloomberg, and President of Manhattan Scott Stringer, German President Horst Köhler, Prime Minister of South Korea Han Seung-soo, Prime Minister of Australia Kevin Rudd, President of Singapore South Nathan, Chief Executive of Hong Kong Donald Tsang, Prince of Monaco Albert II, President of Iran Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, Chief Executive of Macau Edmund Hafas, President of Indonesia Yusuf Kala. Entrance of the flag bearers. Sequence: flag bearers enter the stadium. Athlete enter the stadium. Athletes gather in the stadium with drumming throughout the procession. Synopsis. Led by guards and placard holders, the flag bearers of all delegations entered the stadium, divided into 2 groups. One group 1-102, headed by Greece as per tradition, entered from gate 4 in alphabetical order and stood along the main stage. The other group 103-204, headed by Saudi Arabia, entered from gate 3 and also stood along the main stage. The Chinese flag bearer entered last and stood at the designated place. Greece entering first and China entering last, symbolizing the first and the most recent Summer Olympics host nations. After all flags were in position, the athletes entered the stadium in no particular order. All athletes entered from 4 gates without differentiation of nationality. While the athletes were entering, a women's percussion band and 2 children percussion players played cheerful music. The entire stadium was in raptures. Finally, the medal-winning athletes entered the stadium. Medal ceremony. Sequence: presentation of the final men's marathon medals, including the national anthem of Kenya, Imungu and Nguvu Yetu, for the gold medalist Samuel Wanjiru. Presentation of flowers to 12 volunteers by newly elected athlete representatives to the IOC Athletes Commission, Mindy Song of South Korea, Alexander Popov of Russia, Claudia Bokel of Germany, and Emil Chau of Cuba. Synopsis. At this point, Samuel Wanjiru received his gold medal. He was very excited as he climbed to the first position. 3 flags, including the flag of Kenya, were raised as the national anthem of Kenya was played. Afterwards, 12 children led 12 representatives of volunteers to walk from gate 2 to the stage. Then, 4 children led 4 new members of IOC Athletes Commission, Moon Song of South Korea, Alexander Popov of Russia, Claudia Bokel of Germany, and Emil Chau of Cuba to walk together with 4 people for the ceremony from gate 1 to the main stage. The final medalist is listed below: Samuel Wanjiru gold, J. Edgar Road silver, Tsege Kebet bronze. The Antwerp ceremony. Sequence: raising of the Greek national flag to the national anthem of Greece as Hymn to Liberty. Welcoming of Liu Kai, the president of the Bokok, and Jack Rog, the IOC president. Speech by Liu Kai in Mandarin Chinese, concluding by thanking everyone. Speech by the IOC president, Jack Rog, in English, French, and concluding in Mandarin, declaring the Beijing Games truly exceptional. He closes the Games, and bids in French for the youth of the world to assemble 4 years from now in London. The flag of the United Kingdom was raised to the British national anthem God Save the Queen. Lowering of the Olympic flag and singing of the Olympic anthem, which the Chinese and foreign singers sung in Greek. Fireworks representing the Olympic rings. The plaque honored God's soldiers' folding of the Olympic flag as the soldiers exited, returning of the Olympic flag by Guru Jinlong, the mayor of Beijing, to Jacques Rogge, in turn presenting it to Boris Johnson, the mayor of London. Synopsis. People's Liberation Army then entered the stadium holding the national flag of Greece. While the Greek flag was being hoisted, the Greek national anthem Hymn to Liberty was performed. Rogge and Liu Kai walked to the main stage from the VIP corridor. During his speech, Rogge praised the Chinese for their warm reception and effort. He also stated that the Beijing Games were truly exceptional. Finally, he declared in French that the 2008 Olympic Games were officially closed. The British flag was then raised and the British national anthem God Save the Queen was played. Shortly thereafter, the soldiers slowly lowered the Olympic flag and Chinese and foreign child singers sung the Olympic anthem in Greek. Afterwards, the PLA soldiers folded the Olympic flag and exited. The Olympic flag was handed from Guru Jinlong, the mayor of Beijing, to Count Rogge, the president of the IOC. It was then handed to Boris Johnson, the mayor of London. From London, with a whole lot of love. Sequence 8 minutes of presentation of the 2012 London Olympics. A British modern cultural performance involving a double-decker bus, bicycles and commuters to a score entitled This Is London by Philip Shepherd, recorded by the London Symphony Orchestra. 10-year-old T. Bedard Wallace steps out of the double-decker bus in front of the crowd and receives a ball from Erica Tham, then walks on to people to return to the bus. Leona Lewis and Jimmy Page perform Whole Lotta Love. Appearance by David Beckham. Beckham kicked a ceremonial football into the rows of volunteers. Synopsis. A demonstration entitled From London, with a Whole Lotta Love, was then staged by the British to feature the urban dance group Zoo Nation, the Royal Ballet and Kondoko, the disabled dance group, all dressed as typical London commuters waiting for a bus by a zebra crossing, whilst Olympic champions Chris Hoy, Victoria Pendleton and Jamie Staff cycled round the stadium. A double-decker bus drove around the stadium to the music This Is London, composed by Philip Shepherd and recorded by the London Symphony Orchestra, before eventually stopping and transforming into a privatage featuring famous London landmarks such as Tower Bridge, the Gherkin and the London Eye. Jimmy Page and Leona Lewis then performed the Led Zeppelin classic Whole Lotta Love, and David Beckham kicked a football into the crowd of athletes accompanied by violinist Elspeth Hanson and cellist Kwesi Edman. Page recalled. The Games in. Sequence procession of performers on an airport terminal staircase, with events during the 2008 Summer Olympics on screen. The Olympic flame was then extinguished, following a recitation from an ancient Greek poem in which the game's duration is exhausted. An airport electronic fly screen appeared on the large screen of the stadium. An athlete about to leave walks up the boarding ladder and turns around affectionately. In special effect lighting, the boarding ladder truck with the logo of Beijing 2008 Summer Olympic Games is slowly elevated. He slowly takes out an exquisite painting, scroll and unfolds it. In the dark, a huge mechanic device of the landmark including the Statue of Liberty in New York City, the Eiffel Tower in Paris, the Colosseum in Rome and Big Ben in London at the centre of the field rises slowly, with two sports sculpture performers standing on top of it and showing various athletic gestures. The rim of the ball changed into a red track. Special lights cast scenes of the games since the opening ceremonies to now onto the track in the air. At the centre of the field, two sports sculpture performers rise gradually and show different athletic gestures slowly in the air, conveying the noble Olympic spirit. The athlete on the boarding ladder looks at the burning flame in the distance and slowly folds the painting scroll, just as the flame was about to be extinguished. Landmark including the Statue of Liberty in New York City, the Eiffel Tower in Paris, the Colosseum in Rome and Big Ben in London as the Olympic flame took its final breath. Final last closing events. Sequence performers on a landmark including the Statue of Liberty in New York City, the Eiffel Tower in Paris, the Colosseum in Rome and Big Ben in London, waving arms and symbolizing the Olympic flame, eternally not extinguished. Performers grouped to form landmark with hurdle runners on top of the landmark including the Statue of Liberty in New York City, the Eiffel Tower in Paris, the Colosseum in Rome and Big Ben in London. Performers then reclimb the landmark, which is then covered in huge New York City. Landmark are formed along with athletes below with below as a stigma, the athlete crowds as petals. New York City are levitated upward and reveal the performers arranged in the form of Dancing Beijing, the 2008 Olympic logo. Fireworks. Song Beijing Beijing, I Love Beijing Beijing Beijing, were I Beijing by Chinese singer Tan Jing, Hong Kong singer Kelly Chen Han Zhu, Taiwanese-American singer Wang Lee Hom and Korean singer Rain. Erhu instrumental Acrobats Leap from the Tower by Wire. Song The Moon is Bright Tonight. Song The Flame of Love. Song Surpassed Final Last Closing Ended Song Please Stay, Guests from Afar with all full firework displays. Final Last Closing Synopsis. The torchlights in the hands of the marshals and the 90,000 audience members were turned on at the same time. In the passionate, far-reaching music, 16 lucky Claudion strips slowly landmark including the Statue of Liberty in New York City, the Eiffel Tower in Paris, the Colosseum in Rome and Big Ben in London and the main stage. The top ends of the lucky Claudion strips extended towards the sky and changed into a lucky cloud tree symbolizing friendship and joy. The concert section started. Tanjing, Kelly Chen and Han Ziyu, Wang Lee Hom and Rain sing together Beijing Beijing, I Love Beijing, a song full of passion, vitality and energy. Next, 7 singers walked from below the steps to the main stage and sang The Moon is Bright Tonight. 2 Chinese and foreign singers on the mobile singing performance car went from gate 1 to the front of the VIP corridor and sang The Flame of Love. 2 singers on the main stage sang the joyous and passionate song Surpass It. At this point, there were 50 young singers together. At the same time, 75 aerobatic performers wearing luminous flight clothes performed elevation and rotation in the air. During the last final ended closing farewell musical song Please Stay, guests from afar, 50 male dancers holding few lucky Claudion strips and paper flower launches and 120 other dancers danced on the main stage in tune with the rhythm of the song. Also, 600 female performers in festival clothes entered the stadium, flew around the athletes and danced with all athletes in the stadium and 1046 marshals in tune with the rhythm of the song, forming a spectacular dance circle. Final and last the end. Very 600 final and last female performers in very final and last festive clothes, very 112 final and last performers of minority ethnic groups, very 50 final and last male dancers, very 70 final and last collectors of lunch red silk and very 200 final and last landmark including the Statue of Liberty in New York City, the Eiffel Tower in Paris, the Colosseum in Rome and Big Ben in London. Performers threw the few lucky Claudion strips into the stadium, interacting with the athletes to fireworks at closing ceremony sign-off. At the same time, innumerable dazzling fireworks were launched from the top of the Beijing National Stadium. All full festival fireworks formed a huge circle of extravagant. All full fireworks were fired in a one-off event from all Beijing, launching from the top of the building outwards above the many spectators and well-wishers below. Farewell in the year in which Beijing went on to host the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games. Say farewell. All full fireworks were launched in the shape and colour of the CU 2012 London Olympic Games in a display at all full minutes compared to being reduced to all full minutes along with 2008 Summer Paralympics closing ceremony symbolising the successful back to home at closing of 2008 Summer Olympics. The closing ceremony ended at 21:55 CST because after closing ceremony ended due to all full firework displays. Television. Estimates of the global television audience varied, around 1 billion Reuters, experts estimated, more than 2 billion The Wall Street Journal, 2.3 billion Mindshare, billions, probably the largest live television audience in history Bloomberg, 3 billion Sky News, nearly 4 billion Xinhua, as many as 4 billion The Washington Post, estimated 4 billion McClatch. This included an estimated 842 million viewers watching on host Chinese broadcaster China Central Television CCTV, with polls ranging from 63 to 69% of the Chinese viewing population, exceeding that of the 51–58% who watched the network's annual closing ceremonies forms. Anthems. National Anthem of the People's Republic of China, National Anthem of Kenya, National Anthem of Greece, National Anthem of Great Britain, Olympic Hymn,